Hey everyone, I just wanted to give some clarifications here for the assignment Considerations for Zoos Animals. So this one lines up with some of the information that you will have gotten about animals from the matching slideshow presentation. So again, that's going to tell you a little bit more about the challenges with all these different types of animals. These bullet points down here, this is the list of all the different animals that I cover in that presentation. So this is going to be an assignment where it's the first step in you making a zoo or other type of animal facility of your own design. So think about which animals out of the ones that I presented you want to have in your facility. You're going to choose which animals you want to have and how much space you want to give them in the chart below. So again, here is our chart. 100 squares in there, but it should be very easy to fill up. Don't worry about that. You do not need to use all of the types of animals that are listed here, but a variety makes your zoo interesting to the public. You can also pick the same animal multiple times. For example, we've got the code here BB for a big cat or a bear. So you could have one enclosure that is BB, that means a big cat, and one that means a bear. But if you do that, make sure that you have something to indicate that they're different from one another. So I did that here in my example. I have two FIs here, which are fish. I made one a shark tank and one a trout tank. So again, they're a little different from each other. This list gives the minimum space requirements for the types of animals you can have, but you can give them more if you want. It's up to you. You can either color code each space or put the corresponding letters for each animal in the square of the space. The squares just represent enclosure space that you have, so don't worry about space for visitors. You don't leave anything blank. Make sure that all 100 of your squares are filled up here. So with my example, again, if we look here at the list of the different codes, I used 10 squares here, PM for a primate. 10 squares is the minimum requirement. SM here for a small mammal, so 5 squares. Like I said, I already have these two fish tanks. FI is a fish, 2 squares. Invertebrates are 1 square, IN. Elephants need 30 squares. Marine mammals need 40 squares. The big cat or bear needs 10 squares. LH, large host stock, needs 20 squares. PT, parrot, needs either 5 squares or 3 squares if you decided to pinion that animal. So again, think about pinioning as we presented it in the slideshow and whether or not you want to do that. LB is a large flying bird, 10 squares, or again, 5 squares if you chose to pinion them. BI is a bird other than the parrot or the large bird, 5 squares or 3 squares again if you pinion them. AR is an amphibian or reptile, which needs 3 squares. And we already covered fish and invertebrates. So after you fill out your whole chart with 100 different little spaces, again, you just need to either use the letters or colors. You don't have to do both. That's just at your option. You may run out of colors, so again, please don't worry about that. Just at least make sure you've got the letters in there if you don't have color coding. After that, you're going to answer some reflection questions. These are worth 2 points each, and there's 5 questions altogether. Number 1, does your zoo have a large variety of animals or a small variety of animals? How do you think this will affect how much money your place makes? You might also consider whether or not they're very charismatic, like we talked about in the presentation, whether or not that will draw people in. 2, with the animals that you have, what special training will your vet staff need? Are there animals that are hard to treat medically or that need to be pinioned? So again, think about how the vets are going to be interacting with your animals. What special things will they have to do based on what you picked? 3, do you mostly have animals that reproduce slowly or quickly? How will this affect the population in your zoo over the years? Think about if you have tons and tons of babies, where are they going to go? And if you don't have tons and tons of babies, what's going to happen when one of your animals dies? Number 4, are you housing any animals that could kill people? What's your plan to keep people safe? Again, zoos have to have a lot of different practices in place to try and keep people safe in these situations, so consider that part. 5, how will your zoo help wild populations of these animals? What's the contribution that you're going to make to their wild cousins? And again, we talk about some of those methods in the videos. Finally, as extra credit that's worth 10 points, think about what specific animals did you have in mind for all of your enclosures. You don't have to be specific in the chart if you don't want to, but if you do have something specific in mind for all of your enclosures, go ahead and list it here, and that'll be worth an extra credit of 10 points on this assignment. So if you do have any questions with this, please feel free to call me, email me, or you can show up for the science department office hours, 9:30 to 10:30 every weekday, Monday through Friday.